The cavern shuddered under the force of the Balor's presence, its immense, shadowed form wreathed in roiling flame. Its molten eyes locked on the party, and with a guttural snarl, it lifted its lightning-wreathed sword. "Mortal fools!" it bellowed, wings unfurling as it surged forward. Istra, the elven fighter, met the beast's charge with a raised shield, bracing for impact. Then the Balor's flaming whip cracked through the air, wrapped around the paladin Dane. With a savage pull, he was wrenched forward, his armor searing as he gritted his teeth. The fiend's sword came down in an arc of black lightning, only for a shimmering ward from Keth, the dwarven cleric, to prevent the attack. Then, with a roar of crackling flame, the Balor vanished. There was a scent of burning sulphur hanging in the air. "Where did it go?" barked Vex, the tiefling rogue, blades at the ready. Then there was a sudden inferno erupting at their flank, and the demon reappeared towering behind the wizard Sarya. The Balor's massive sword lashed out, slicing through her robes and sending her flying. With a flick of its whip, it ensnared Istra, yanking her across the battlefield as her boots left the ground. She hit the stone hard, rolling to her feet just in time to parry another crushing blow. Keth raised his hammer. Golden energy swirled up as he called upon his deity. "Enough is enough of this beast's trickery!" With a prayer, divine chains erupted from the ground, seeking to bind the fiend's massive form. The Balor roared in fury, its body seething as the magic took hold, if only for a moment. The party regrouped, panting, scorched, but determined. The Balor's fire burned, but they were far from broken, and the battle had only just begun. Welcome. Today's video is on the Bah-lor. First, let's cover what the monster manual tells you. So, Bah-lor are huge-sized fiends that are said to be the embodiment of rage and anger. These demons have massive flaming wings and are engulfed in flames. They wield two weapons, a whip of flames and a blade of lightning. In death, the Balor explodes as an act of retribution to those who killed it. There are powerful demons which utilize Balors by making them the leaders of armies in, for example, the Blood War, or protectors of great secrets. So what about stats? So stats-wise, the Balor are CR 19 demons with a 19 AC and 300 hit points. The Balor has movement speed of 30 feet and a fly speed of 80 feet. They boast superhuman stats in regards to their strength, con, and charisma, clocking in at 26, 22, and 22 respectively. None of their stats are low, but the lowest is the dex, with a +2 modifier to checks and saving throws with its 15 stat. The most impressive stat is the +12 for con saves. The Balor also has some nice resistances and immunities, with resistance to cold and lightning damage and immunity to fire and poison. The Balor also possesses true sight up to 120 feet and has a passive perception of 19. The Balor can communicate with anyone with its 120 feet of telepathy, perfect for smack talk, but also for its ability to command its various underlings in combat. The Balor has magic resistance, which gives it advantage to saves from magic. If somehow the high stats and magic resistance weren't enough, if the Balor fails a save, it possesses a 3 times per day legendary resistance where it just chooses to succeed a save. In combat, the Balor has 3 key features, the first of which is their Fire Aura, which is a 5-foot emanation which deals 3d8 fire damage with no save to anyone within that range. In regards to direct attacks, the Balor has 2 different attacks lumped into its multi-attack. In the Balor's left hand is a Flame Whip with a 30-foot reach. Melee attack, 30-foot reach. On a hit, it deals 8d8 plus 8 damage and pulls a huge or smaller creature up to 25 feet towards it and gives him the prone condition. In the Balor's right hand is its Lightning Blade. This is a 10-foot ranged melee attack which deals an average of 43 damage on a hit and makes the target unable to take reactions until the Balor's next turn. Each of these attacks are made as part of a multi-attack and have plus 14 to hit. As a bonus action, the Balor can teleport itself or a willing demon up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space. The Balor possesses no ranged attack options, however. So let's talk about what the monster manual does not tell you. So in previous edition, Balors were classed as type 6 demons. A quick aside on types, so demonologists organize demons into 6 categories based on their strength. The weakest are type 1, which are things like the Shadow Demon or the Balgura, and the strongest are type 6, like the aforementioned Balor or Goristro. This means that the Balor are second only to the named demon lords of the Abyss in regards to their power. Balors are said to be 12 feet tall and weigh 4,500 pounds. The Balor was inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien's The Balrog, and the book takes the, quote, Balrogs have wings, end quote, side of the timeless argument, and no, I will not elaborate, for I must digress. In previous editions, in addition to the flame whip and sword of lightning, the Balors also are armed with venomous fangs and claws. So despite their raw, violent aggression, Balors are still intelligent and charismatic creatures, which allowed them to scheme, but also to command vast armies of demonic underlings. In previous editions, the Balor were said to be able to summon small hordes of weaker demons, such as dretches or quasits. The Balor also possessed many other abilities in combat, such as in 3.5, they were able to just focus on a creature and cause it to implode and die instantly. Maybe it's best that left and stayed in 3.5 and didn't make it to 5e. So in previous editions, some Balor matched their physical prowess with study of the arcane. They were said to primarily focus on evocation magic, however. There were some who believed that there were only 24 Balors alive at any one time, but this quotation and this assertion is doubted by others, so I'm not sure. The name Balor comes from the most powerful Balor, who was named Balor. Now, the name Balor also comes from Irish mythology. So, Balor was a chieftain of a group called the Fomorians, not to be confused with the D&D Fomorians. They were like a competing tribe against the Tuatha Dé Danann, and they were the lead antagonists to the Tuatha Dé Danann, especially in the second battle of Mag Tuired. As a word, Balor comes from, at least in real world lore, Balor comes from the Celtic word boleros, which means flashing one. Modern academics and pagans liken Balor and the Fomorians to winter and the sort of winding down of the year. And they sort of take this opposition of Balor versus Lu, who was a member of the Tuatha Dé Danann, with the competing solar deities, sort of the cycle of growth and death, growing versus harvest, growing and harvest versus fertility and barrenness. And this conflict is between the two solar deities is also of a younger ousting an older, is very similar to the winter and summer kings in modern pagan traditions. Sorry, my notes were a bit weird there. There are other mythoses which have inspired Tolkien, which in turn inspired D&D. So Balor is also strongly related to the Jotun Surtur, a fire giant who lays waste to the earth at Ragnarok with a flaming sword. And the Norse story of Freyr courting Gareth is another similar story. In both, it appears that the frigid older powers make it difficult for the virile younger interlopers to gain access to the fertile lands, though eventually an accord is struck and over a battle is won, and the sowing of crops can begin, leading to a bountiful harvest. So there's a lot of like commonality in these mythoses throughout time. So to conclude what the mastermind note doesn't tell you, I'm going to give you a snippet from County Mayo's folklore, and then we can conclude. So, Balor was a single-eyed, yet a covered. He had a single eye on his forehead, a venomous, fiery eye. There was always 7 coverings over this eye. One by one, Balor removed the coverings. With the first covering, the bracken began to wither. With the second, the grass became copper-coloured. With the third, the woods and timber began to heat. With the fourth, smoke came from the trees. With the fifth, everything grew red. With the sixth, it sparked. And with the seventh, they were all set on fire, and the whole countryside was ablaze. I liked that little thing. I just wanted to include it. So in conclusion, Balor are some of the most powerful and destructive forces from across the plane. My biggest complaints are twofold. Firstly, how is a creature who wields lightning not immune to lightning damage? And secondly, how is a military commander and mastermind chaotically aligned? So in previous editions, these were explained. The Balor was immune in previous editions to lightning damage, and instead of being immune to poison, they were just resistant. This change is fine with me. And I would even take it a step further and make it kind of like the shambling mind, where if they are hit with lightning, I may even stretch to include fire in this, they're healed rather than hurt by the damage. And in regards to them being military leaders, this was contrasted with the old calculating perspective of the weaker Marlith. So the subordinate Marlith was less fiery and hot-headed and worked with the Balor to command the armies. So they sort of kept each other in check. This still leaves a contrast between chaotic alignment and rigid military structure. It seems to me that demons make for better guerrilla warriors, whereas devils make for better organized warriors in formation fighting. But that's maybe a discussion for another time. So, in summary, cool, flavorful mechanics, teleporting yourself around, displacing combats with your fire whip, it's just cool. A ranged attack option could be useful, like a fireball, or if you're trying to avoid spellcasting, just shoot fire at a target could be cool. I give this monster a 17 out of 20.